I'm Chef Ange, and welcome to my kitchen. On today's episode, we're going to be making one of my favorite dishes, period, chicken cacciatore. This is a great version that uses boneless, skinless chicken thighs. This dish is traditionally made with a skin on, bone in chicken. Sometimes it's made with rabbit, but we're going to do it with a boneless, skinless chicken thigh, and we're going to add a little bit of sausage too. This meal requires a decent amount of prep, but once we do the prep, it's going to be really easy assembly on the stove. So we're going to start off prepping our vegetables, then we're going to prep our chicken, and then we're going to get onto the stovetop. The first thing we need to do is we need to start slicing our vegetables. All of our vegetables, and we're going to be putting them into one bowl, which is going to make assembly really easy. Next up is going to be our shallot. So now let's clean our garlic. So my favorite way to clean just a few cloves of garlic is to grab the piece of garlic, squeeze it until you hear like a little bit of a pop, and then from here you just rub it in between your hands. As you rub it in between your hands, the paper comes loose, and then we'll set that aside, and we'll do that for all of our other pieces. So again, quick pop, and then from here, roll. It makes it really easy. That paper comes right off. So now from here, let's clip off all the root ends of the garlic. I'm just going to give them a rough chop. So now let's cut some of our bigger vegetables. Celery is really easy to cut. You can cut it all at once. And now our carrots. So carrots, I'm gonna peel first. So we'll take our scrap roll and we'll give them a peel, taking off most of the skin. Any little bits that leave on there, that's totally fine. Now from here, each individual piece I'll cut down into about the same size thickness as our celery. So that's all of our big vegetables. So now there's two vegetables that aren't going to go in there, and that's going to be our mushrooms and our tomatoes. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut these mushrooms. Last thing we're going to cut, that's going to go inside, is going to be our tomatoes. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to clean our parsley, and our parsley we're going to use for garnish, so that's going to come all the way at the end. Okay, so now we have our chicken thighs. So these are chicken thighs that I took out of the freezer last night. They're still a little frozen, which isn't too bad because it actually makes them really easy to cut. And how I like to cut these just really fast, because I'm probably cooking this on a weekday night, is I'm gonna cut the chicken, I'm not gonna even unroll it. I'm gonna cut the chicken thigh in half, and then I'll cut it into 2 or 3 pieces. These are pretty big, so I'm gonna cut them into 3 pieces. Now from here, I'm gonna take my chicken thighs and put them in a bowl. So now everything has been cut, so now we can clean up a little bit, and then we're gonna season our chicken. So now to season our chicken is gonna be pretty simple. So we're gonna take some olive oil, we're gonna drizzle it over the top of the chicken, maybe a couple tablespoons. Now from here, this is my base seasoning. If you don't know what my base seasoning is, check out episode 5. And this is a blend of garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper. I'm gonna give that a pretty liberal dose. And and a little paprika that we're just gonna throw in there. I don't know, maybe we put about like a half a teaspoon or a teaspoon in there. Now I'm just gonna take my hands and mix everything in there and try to coat the chicken with the spices, the salt, pepper, and the paprika. So now my vegetables are cut, my chicken is coated with spices and seasoned, and now we're gonna head over to the stove and we're gonna start the cooking. So if you haven't already, preheat your oven to 355 because this is going to go in the oven right after, but we're going to be on the stove top for a little bit. So while I'm on the stove, the oven's heating up. I'm going to put a little olive oil inside this pan, and now I'm going to take my sausage and I'm going to start to brown the sausage. The sausage doesn't have to cook all the way through, but we just need to get a good browning on all sides. So right now I'm browning it over maybe a medium-high heat. And they gave a little drizzle on the top of the sausage just to get a nice even coating of oil. Make sure nothing burns and nothing sticks. Move it around a little bit, get the oil underneath. Good. And if oil's popping, we could probably turn it down a little bit. But there's probably going to be some moisture on the outside that's going to produce a little bit of that popping. And if we have to flip things a few times, that's okay, but we don't have to flip it all the time. You know, when you let it sit, that's when it's going to cook best and it's going to brown best. You also start to notice that we're starting to get some of this brown stuff. That's a mixture of the olive oil, some of the juice from the meat. It's starting to brown on the bottom of the pan, and this is great because this is a braised dish, and we're going to try to recapture all that with the vegetables and a lot of our liquids, and it's going to add a lot of depth of flavor to this dish. So I think we're looking pretty good on browning the sausage. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this sausage and we're going to set it aside. And now really quickly we're going to turn our heat up as high as we can go. And now before this pan is super smoking, we're going to get our chicken in there, because as soon as that chicken hits the pan, that pan's going to cool down a lot. So we're just going to add just a touch more oil. And now from here, this pan is as hot as it's going to get right now before we start burning the oil. I'm going to dump my chicken in. Now that we don't see any more pink inside the pan, again, the chicken's probably not cooked all the way through, but that's not a problem. So now we're going to take our vegetable bowl with our carrots, our onions, our celery, shallots, and the garlic, and we're just going to dump that right in there. Once I get a good mix where everything's nice and uniform, I'm just going to let that sit for a minute. I'm going to reduce my heat a little bit to like medium high. So now's a great time to add our dry herbs. So here's some Italian seasoning that maybe we'll take a teaspoon, half a teaspoon, something like that. We're going to throw that in. A little black pepper. Pinch of salt. So now we're going to start adding some of our liquids, and we'll turn the heat up a little bit because I want to get a little evaporation. So this is some white wine vinegar. I'm going to give that a hefty splash, maybe a tablespoon or two. This is some cheap white wine, and maybe I'm going to put a cup. So I really need to create some liquid. Okay, next thing that's going to go in is going to be some chicken bouillon paste. I'll take a teaspoon of that, maybe a little bit more, and we're going to throw that right in there. At this point, we can throw in our mushrooms and our tomatoes.
take our sausage. We cut each link into about 4 to 6 pieces. And we're gonna do the same thing, just make sure that we're getting a nice coating on everything. That looks pretty good. So now what I'm gonna do is I'll take my fresh herbs. So I got rosemary, thyme, and sage, and I'm just gonna throw those on top. Now we're just gonna take our wood spoon and we're just gonna push them right into the liquid. If they stick out, that's okay, because that's gonna make it really easy for us to remove the stems later. So this is ready to go inside the oven. So I'm gonna turn off my temperature, and now this is gonna go inside a 355-degree oven for about 45 minutes.
I'm here, I may want to just pull out any of our fresh herbs that we put in that are sticking out. And now let's give that a little sprinkle with some fresh parsley. So now let's taste some of this. I'm going to take some white rice that I had cooking while that was in the oven. And you can have this on rice, on farro. This is fantastic on top of some pasta. So now let's go in for a taste and try to get a little bit of rice, some of the mushrooms, a piece of the chicken. That's such a fantastic dinner. Weeknight, weekend, having company over, makes large portions. This is great for a meal prep. So, I'm Chef Ange, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, leave comments, let me know what you think, and also let me know how your dishes come out. Thanks and happy cooking.